ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. We're looking at an IS300 that's going to need a wheel bearing. We're going to go ahead and put the clutch in the red one. And this jewel over here, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull the diff out, get it welded, pull the transmission out. I pull the transmissions out because to me it's easier to pull the motor out here because I don't have as much room going that way to pull them all the way back. So pull the transmission out. Then we're going to pull all the turbo stuff off and pull this engine because this jewel slung a rod. Like, not just slung a rod. Okay, when I tell you this thing slung a rod, so where the main is on the crank, where the rod, the big end would be on the crank, it's not there. So like, it slung the whole bottom end of the rod out. I don't know what the deal is, but it's gone. So I don't know if this was a rebuilt engine, if this was a, I really don't know. This thing at 300 horse, we're probably at 5,500 RPM, something like that, and fourth gear, and just pow, just slung the rod completely out the side of the thing. I mean, it's come completely through the block, windowed it with no kind of power being laid down. I mean, I was nowhere near, you know, the full potential of, I mean, I was in fourth gear and it red lines at 75, 8 something probably. So, yeah, so that's the deal on that one. The red one, wheel bearing, I'll go ahead and change the clutch while we got it in here. You'll notice the 240 is gone. The 240 is at Rise Fab. If you're familiar with Rise Fab, they've got my S13 out there. So they're going to put my cage in. Gave me a great deal. I'm really pleased with the price. I've seen some of their work. I personally walked around the shop, looked at what they were doing. I have no issues with them installing my cage whatsoever. It is what it is. And it will be FD legal. If we ever get to that, I doubt we'll ever see FD. But you know, it's one of those things. You never know who the next guy to hit the pro whatever, you know. So, you know, whether my son goes, whether somebody we know is good enough, we'll have the car, you know. We'll just see how far this rabbit hole goes. Still got some more stuff I'm waiting on the S13. I've got to sit down and get a list of parts for this thing that I need. I do have another 2J non-VVTI, and I have 2J VVTI. I think I'm just going to put another 2J VVTI back in this car without doing the non-VVTI bottom end, but we might do that on this car. We don't know just yet. We're still kind of tossing ideas. Yeah, so we're debating on some things as we speak and making some decisions. We'll just have to see where it goes, but we're going to do wheel bearing on this, clutch, flywheel, and this one will be, it'll all come out. Motor, transmission, rear end, drive shaft, whole end to end. This thing won't be anything but a rolling chassis, just a shell. And I'm going to weld the diff up while it's out. Go over the seals in the transmission, look at everything, check the clutch out, see what kind of condition it's in, and change all the parts over from the motor over to a different one to set it all back in, and that way we got, you know, got everything right here to do it with. And the S13, I will leave it out of the shop for now, so it won't be back in here. It'll probably cover up somewhere and be hanging out till I can get the S14 in here, which will probably be right after this clutch job and stuff on this one. We want to keep this car intact to be able to have something to drive while we're doing this job. And the 14's got a motor and transmissions coming out. That 1J is going out of the 14 into the 13. So I've got to make that happen, change that out. So yeah. So that's kind of where we're at. Stay tuned. We're going to get started on some IS content. It'll be the transmission change out. You've seen that before. It'll be the wheel bearing. I don't know if you've been involved in that, but I use a machine shop, man. That guy just presses them in and out. I deal with him. I drop them off. He tells me what I owe. again, the silver one's going to be all out, all in kind of thing, whole different motor. We might even go front facing intake manifold, move some of the wiring around, clean some of that up, but I don't know what everything is, so I'm almost afraid of some of that wiring with that dash being pulled out and that using, you know, just all that crazy wire they've got in there. If I can trace everything back to the switch, fan switch, push button, all that, if I can trace it all down, we may reconfigure that, move it around a little bit and do some things there. I may trace it down and do that before. That way I can pull it loose and go ahead and bring it another route before I even pull the motor out, so that way I can clean it up. And then when I pull it all out, if I have to change anything from there, I'll know what's what, maybe label it or something. There's only 6-8 wires, you know. It's not like the S13 where I was gonna have to rewire 400 wires. Yeah, that's not me, I'm not that guy. So, yeah, but that's where we're at. So stay tuned over the next, probably just a few days on the red one, and then I would say a few weeks on the silver one, if not more than that. So, all right, here we go. All right, we find ourselves back under the red IS300, my son's car. And this is a typical clutch change out. We're gonna look at like the rear seal on the motor and some other stuff, but it's gonna be pretty basic. We're gonna drop the exhaust, the drive shaft, the transmission. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the rear diff, and well, no, we're not pulling it on this. We'll probably drop the cover maybe, or drain it, put new fluids in it. Just the basic stuff. So I might film some of that, but I'm not gonna go in depth because we've done this multiple times, I think. I don't really know how many times I've actually done this one. 3 or 4 in this car particularly. Then we're gonna continue on. Once we get the clutch and everything changed in this one, we got to do a wheel bearing, which we may do something different. We've actually been talking a little bit. We may do something else. Then I'm going to go to the R154, the rear diff, and the engine in the silver one. We're going to pull everything bumper to bumper as far as the drivetrain, because we need to know what clutch, what flywheel, what condition of the clutch. The rear diff's not welded. It needs to be welded. And the engine's got a big hole in the side of the block. In case you didn't know yet, we blew up the silver IS300 that we just, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. But, all right, we're gonna get started on the red IS300 and see how far I can get today. All right, here we go. All right, we gotta take out the exhaust bolts with another 14. Going the right way? Probably not. Nope. That was not. Okay, next thing, get you a pan as such, and pull the drive shaft, which it's already loose, but the back of the transmission will leak once you drop the drive shaft. Sometimes you gotta pry it loose. And if it's got plenty of fluid, sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. But when you let it go from right at the cross member, it will leak. But a lot of times, when you pull the drive shaft out, it will leak from the tail shaft of the transmission, which I see a little bit. It's there, it's just not completely full, so we're good. Now I gotta let the car down, which I should have done this before, and take the shifter loose from the actual the knob loose from the shifter. All right, here we go. So the next thing is take the 4 bolts out of the mount holding the transmission up, which are out. I think that's all of them. And then let this jewel down. It's gonna send fluid out, possibly. Maybe not. Sometimes it will. Yeah, it goes. That's normal. Just be prepared for that. So, yeah, on to the next part. So around this transmission, you'll find a group of 14s and 17s on the bell housing, and you'll have 2 12s on the actual clutch. I'll show you the clutch slave cylinder, which is this jewel right here. You'll have 2 12s there. Sometimes there's a ground. Somebody might have put it somewhere different, but I put this one right here. I think it's a 14 maybe. So I'll take the 14s off, take my clutch slave cylinder off, my ground, and there'll be probably a plug on it for like my reverse light and stuff like that. So I'll take all that stuff off now. All right, so my son showed up today, helped me finish the clutch on the IS300, on his IS300. I didn't get to mine. A guy, I sold the motor and transmission out of the S14. That guy showed up. So this deal's gone. The S14, all the transmission, all that stuff's out of my way. So now, got a little more money to do something else I was working on. So, and the cage is done on the S14 or S13, so I gotta go get it tomorrow. That's one thing that's happening. Gotta do the wheel bearing on this, then we'll be on this jewel. But yeah, that's the video for today. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, you know what to do. See you guys later.